Hello everyone, welcome back to Energy Training with Liz. Today I want to share another chat I had with a fellow Pangu Shengong student whose name is Tony. And Tony lives in the same city as me, which is Melbourne, Australia. And he also joins me every morning at 6:45 a.m. over Zoom to practice the Pangu Shengong moving form. So we have a few people that join us each morning from all over the world, really. And so we've got different time zones going on. And if there are any students out there that have learnt the Pangu Shengong moving form, you are more than welcome to come and join us as well. And if you haven't yet learnt the Pangu Shengong moving form and you're interested, do check out the links below. Anyway, without further ado, I hope you enjoy our chat. So, how did you find out about Pangu Shengong? What was the circumstances?
It was, I think, over a decade ago. I've been looking for how to start up doing meditation because you know how as your chronological age tick, you have more and more challenges either from work, from the environment, from within your family, that sort of thing. And the world keeps changing too, right? Getting more and more fast paced and challenges just everywhere. You kind of like just realize that wow, it starts to affect your health. You're kind of feeling a bit exhausted, feeling very very unmotivated, that sort of thing. So I said, I've heard about meditation for a long long time. I mean, I grew up in with influence with Asian cultural influence, and you sort of think that oh wow, maybe I can actually tap a bit into that now that everyone's talking about it, how useful meditation is, right? So but then I'm kind of like one part of me is kind of skeptical, but the other part of me is saying that wow, if everyone's kind of like talking about it, saying how useful it is, so it may be. But then I don't know where to start until my mom said to me that one day apparently um, she learned a type of qigong from my cousin. I was born in Indonesia, so my cousin in Indonesia learned that from a relative visiting from China, and she was saying that auntie of hers actually recovered from terminal intestinal cancer. So I said, wow, that's great. And not only just recovered, like so literally she could actually travel to Indonesia to visit the relatives there. And my cousin learned from her, and eventually my cousin kind of like introduced that to my mom. And I said, oh, maybe I should try that as well, because my mom said apparently this type of qigong is quite forgiving. So basically, there's no restriction in terms of the practice. You can actually have your mind wander off, and pretty much you can do it backward. You can do partially, and apparently you still get the benefit. I said, wow, maybe I should start learning it as well. But how would I be able to start? So I start obviously just like everything else at that time, right? The internet just sort of start up. So I started searching on the internet, and I found a website, and yeah, so I I start to look into it, and yes, I started learning it by correspondence.
Mm-hmm. And,
Yeah,
and was that the same pangu.org website that's up to date?
yeah, that's right, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I started learning the moving form. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I purchased the course kind of like partially self-taught. There wasn't a Facebook group practice at that time, so I just like did the best to interpret, and often I talked to mom as well and how to actually do it. And yeah, I kind of noticed that as soon as I started practicing, I noticed that the my sleep quality kind of start to feel better. Like I experienced like a few good nights sleep, and I said, is this just the kind of placebo effect, or what? I couldn't figure out. And I've noticed as well, I felt a bit more energized, and I started exploring other options, like start doing exercise and intermittent fasting. Just about the same time, I was thinking, wow, maybe if I keep going like this, right, I'll be aging very, very quickly. So I thought maybe I should actually start exploring options. So I thought maybe picking up intermittent fasting, doing some like resistance training, weightlifting, that sort of thing, high intensity training. So I thought, you know, but what I noticed is like those only work well when I practice the Qigong. So,
Yes,
so yeah,
that's
so
exactly the experience I've had, because I came from a background of like I was a personal trainer. Like, so I've started with music but moved into health and fitness. So personal trainer, yoga instructor, all of those things. And they were great, but it's a whole other level once I added Pangu Shengong, it's like it makes those other things work much more effectively. So I love that you had the same experience.
yeah, just about the same time I actually learned the five Tibetan rites too.
Uh-huh. Oh, wow. So lots of things going on.
Yeah, yeah. So I was just trying to explore things because I thought, I gotta do something. Otherwise, then, it's just downhill from there.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought, but I noticed that, even the Tibetan rites, it's good, it's great, but I need some foundation. I need to get the foundation right first. So I thought Pangu Shengong is actually the one. And obviously, once you start to feel better and things get busy in life, and you're kind of like start to kind of slack off, and that exactly what I experienced. So on and off, since a decade ago, I'm kind of practicing and get back into it, practicing and get back into it. And thanks for your effort, Lisa. Like every morning
Our
you
pleasure.
run the group practice. That kind of motivate me to do it diligently now every day.
Pleasure. Yeah, no, it's
So
it's
yeah.
it's just good to have that routine, I think, because it's so easy for the day to get away from you, and then suddenly you haven't practiced, and then it's 9 o'clock at night, and like, oh, I don't feel like practicing now, you know. So I just think get it out of the way early. It's done. At least, I mean, I like to do a
Yeah.
bit more if I can in the evening, but if I don't do it, at least I've done the foundation, So
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
so yeah, it's great to see you every morning. Oh,
Yeah,
ready
likewise.
to go.
Likewise, definitely.
First
Yeah,
one
yeah.
there.
Yes.
But
Seeing
yeah,
other friends in the group, Terry and Carolee, and now we
yeah,
have another Melburnian, Rebecca
yeah,
too, right?
yep, yep. So
Wow.
I'm hoping it's just going to keep growing, basically.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Get the
yeah,
Melbourne Pangu
yeah.
community going.
Yep, yep. Spread the energy and get the energy stronger.
Yeah, yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. And so what kinds of challenges have you found? I mean, you mentioned it's easy to sort of get like drop off, because we seem, as humans, when things start getting better, that's when we start getting lazy as well.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's exactly is. And I guess the challenges from time to time is when you kind of like your body start to feel like, wow, lethargic, exhausted, and the pressure's on. You feel a bit like unmotivated and probably to a brink of a bit of a like depressed sometime, right? And you say, "Oh, maybe I should practice again. Really, I should get back into it again." And the sooner you start picking it up again, and you feel that kind of like, you know, that spark, and eventually you just build up from there to a point. Now I convince myself, well, this qigong practice is more like we need, similar to how we need to breathe, we need to eat, we need to drink. I think
Yeah,
pretty much. I think yeah,
like brushing your teeth.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's just basically, I think I cannot pinpoint things scientifically because obviously it's very, very hard. Like, scientists trying to relate, uh, tr- trying to talk about quantum field, quantum energy, and all that, right? Which is kind of a bit beyond me at the moment. But I said, oh well, uh, just because we can't prove it doesn't mean it's not there.
Mm. Well, this is the
Uh,
thing, and this is what I've been thinking about lately. So I think the energy that we're getting here is the same force that drives all of the universe, basically. So it's like maybe we're opening ourselves more up to receive that. And so it's always there, but it's just whether we're able to receive it or not. So maybe, I don't know, doing this, we become more of a conduit to receive it better or something. Yeah, I can't.
Probably thousands of years ago, for an example, right? Maybe thousands of years ago, if we trying to tell, back in the days, probably if someone, if it's someone from today happened to travel back in time and maybe to 1,000 or 2,000 years ago and telling people, look, there's a presence of magnetic field or radio frequencies or microwave and all that, right? They'll probably say, wow, you're crazy, right?
Yeah.
And same with us, right? Unless we can actually use our perception, our senses to interpret everything, it doesn't exist, right? And even today, like all these microwave, like all the bacteria, all these virus, right? Unless we use device to interpret them into our senses so we can actually see them, right? Then then they don't exist, right?
Yeah.
To us, it's like that. Yeah, they're just like just nothing.
Yeah. Can you think of an example where, like a specific example where you drew on Pangu Shengong to solve an immediate challenge that you were having at one time, like, I don't know, a stomach ache or a headache or whatever it was? Like, is there one thing that stands out to you at some point?
Not to that extent, the aches and pains, because I haven't experienced like serious illness for a long time. So I don't know whether I can attribute that to the Pan Gu Shengong or everything else I do in life. But I noticed that feeling lethargic, or like sometimes when my sleep patterns kind of all over the place, to a point that it kind of forced me to do a practice. I noticed that Pan Gu Shengong seems to have kind of forced me into a deep, good quality sleep for a few days, and after that few days, I kind of like I reboot myself. It feels that way.
Yeah. So this is a real sort of it helps to power you up, in light you up. It sounds like to me most the benefit is just some sort of mental stability for you and that extra energy for life, that spark for life. And that sometimes we can get shut down and end up depressed if we don't change something, I guess. And so it sounds like it's a really good battery for you.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. What about impact on your personal life in terms of work things, family life? Where have you seen benefit there?
I think I can probably sum up everything in one word, probably calmness to approach life, and to approach challenges. And pretty much I think knowing that yes, some of the philosophy and teaching, especially in the past word, I'm still trying to understand, trying to relate that to the real world. And I thought it's quite rich. I mean, some of the things that Pan Gu Shengong, Master Ou keep saying that we got to cultivate our heart, right? Cultivate the heart and eventually the mind, right? And then in the opening password, it's just so rich, and then especially in the closing password as well, that's kind of quite rich as well. And I reflect upon a famous saying, I think, by an ancient philosopher. I think maybe Lao Tzu or something like that. Like how, basically you have to be careful with your thought, right? Your mind, because mind becomes your words, right? Words turn into action. Action then becomes a habit, right? And then shape your character and eventually destiny.
And destiny, that's one of my favorite quotes. That
and throughout humanity, I think a lot of famous people either use that quotes or requotes that, and you kind of like reflect upon your own life experience, and that's so true. So it's kind of like encapsulate in the password, and you kind of like, the more you think, the more you reflect, the more you kind of, wow. Often when you want to think of something, you want to do something, and it's kind of like you're a bit more careful.
Yes, more careful with your words, more careful with your reaction, that you're not going to make a situation worse by reacting to it. Do you ever just use the password like in the middle of the day? Say you've had a family conflict or whatever, and do you ever just in your mind just start saying the password?
Often just subconsciously. I actually said that, how useful it is. I thought at the very least it actually calms myself down as well.
It's just a reminder of how to go forward in the world.
Beyond that, in terms of the power, the impact, I guess time will tell. I'm actually trying to observe through my own life experience too. I noticed that the beauty of this moving form is the visualization part of the practice. During the practice, I kind of realized that how much mind chatter I have. Like basically, your mind just wander off thinking about so many things in life, and your own imagination as well, and forever I try to kind of bring back that mind back into the back in track, to kind of think of the visualization, the sun, the moon, and the sun moon combined together. I think that's great. And
just one more question, actually. In terms of your understanding of the universe, and for example, I'm particularly interested in people's idea of what good and evil is, and why there is so much evil in the world. Because the typical thing of a religious person would say, if there was really a God, there's no way that God would let all these people suffer on earth, right? So what's your understanding of the universe having taken on this form, this idea of duality?
It's hard to say, but throughout my life experience, I kind of like believe about, from the principle of non-judgment. I believe there's always purpose in life. So for the evil to be evil, I thought there's probably certain purpose as a balancing force of the other side. And I firmly believe that we're here, we exist on this earth here for a purpose of either growth, and obviously that growth comes from our learning, from the experience. So part of it may be our suffering, part of it may be experiencing the evil, or so there's so many things which I can't tell until I experience this life throughout, right? But then whether I guess it's a bit difficult to I'm still developing on that part in terms of understanding.
Do you feel that Pangu Shengong has, I guess, consolidated some beliefs of yours, or have you diverted to a new belief system in a way?
Spiritually, I believe it actually provides me some guide. One thing that I kind of resonate quite well is the unconditional love part of it. And from many sources, I've heard that apparently that's the most powerful force in the universe. So
and I guess that's another thing that makes Pangu powerful, because it's not like a religion, it's not it's wrapping its whole maxim up in the password, and that's just loving kindness, unconditional, wishing other people's, like common sense kind of things. And if we look across all religions, that's a common thread throughout all of them.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
So that's one thing that helps me, but I don't see Pangu Shengong as a religion.
Oh no, yeah. I guess, I often view religions more like an organization or club kind of thing. But
Yeah.
whatever the intention is, I guess if it can bring us closer to the source, then I think that's probably
Yeah.
it has reached its kind of purpose.
Anything else you want to share before we finish up?
Yeah, I guess for those who are kind of still practicing, and keep it up, try to keep up the consistency and have an open mind, and try to reflect on it from your daily experience, see how much you can you can benefit from it, and keep practicing. That's all I say.